Thanks for watching the Council in Brief. I'm Susan Kennedy. We're here with the news of the Montgomery County Council for this last week in September. Council President Nancy Navarro has introduced a resolution that calls for Congress to restore Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that was declared unconstitutional earlier this year by the Supreme Court. The resolution also calls on Congress to give the residents of the District of Columbia full representation and voting rights in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Council President Navarro was joined in Rockville by her colleagues and Senator Ben Cardin, Congressman Chris Van Hollen, and D.C. Mayor Vincent Gray in support of protecting this fundamental right.
The free and fair elections are the foundation of our democracy. As elected officials, our job should be to encourage civic participation and community engagement. But in some states, we have seen a disturbing trend of more barriers to voting. States have shortened early voting, restricted the types of ID that eligible voters can use, and severely limited the ability of civic organizations to conduct voter registration drives.
Navarro hopes the resolution will be a catalyst for offering innovative proposals that can be adopted at the state and federal level as well.
There are problems out there. There are those who think it's all right to try to depress the voting rights of people in this country, particularly targeting on minority communities. And Nancy, you're right. The state of Maryland's taking steps to make it easier rather than more difficult for people to vote. We recognize that if you have to stand in line for 2 hours, you may not have 2 hours that you can be away from your work or be away from your family. We've got to make it easier rather than more difficult for families to be able to cast their vote.
It is absolutely shameful that in this democracy of ours, some people would try to win at the ballot box, not by expanding participation in elections, but by trying to limit people's participation in elections.
Navarro's resolution also urges changes at the local level.
The local level is actually where the rubber meets the road. Montgomery County Board of Elections is now in the process of selecting up to 4 new early voting sites. I sent a letter to the Board of Elections a couple of months ago to request that they select sites that are accessible by public transportation. And this led me to suggest to my colleagues that we should look at a broader set of voting rights issues and how Montgomery County can play a leading role for progressive reforms.
The Council is continuing with its work sessions on the Long Branch Sector Plan. The plan addresses a portion of Long Branch that includes areas around Piney Branch Road, Flower Avenue, and University Boulevard. This most recent work session focused on fiscal and economic impacts and transportation issues associated with the plan.
The real issue for Long Branch is how, with the arrival of the Purple Line station, how can we encourage it to evolve in the right way? So we're recommending some pretty significant opportunities for redevelopment in the core, but mindful of affordable housing issues there as well. We're not encouraging a lot of redevelopment of the existing multifamily housing. So we hope we found the right balance.
Members of the county's Department of Transportation were on hand at a recent council session to brief members on the developer's proposal to renew downtown Wheaton. The project includes a new headquarters for the Maryland National Park and Planning Commission, a town center, and a public parking garage.
Well, the good news is that the timeline that we agreed upon actually is being met. We did say that around this time there should be a selection of a possible developer, and that has happened. I think now really we need to get into the details of the proposal. We need to make sure that whatever components are included actually are aligned with what the community has asked for. We need to make sure that our Triangle Lane business that have been there and waiting for this moment are integrated into this particular proposal. So there are still some work to do, but I think it's definitely, we're definitely on our way to make this a reality for Wheaton.
Well, that does it for this edition of the Council in Brief. For County Cable Montgomery, I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.